What's up, guys? It's Jacob Soboroff. In our top news, we got the hipster jihadist and the GOP's Uber gambit.
This is Baratunde Thurston, and we have TV personality Adam Richman in the room.
I'm Megan McCain, and this is Take Part Live.
Lots of stuff to talk about tonight, guys. Lots of stuff happening.
Going on.
Yes.
What's up, America? Welcome to Take Part Live, the anti-news news show. Today, Baratunde Thurston is back to help us co-host.
America and other nations hijacking our signal.
I hope there are other nations hijacking our signal. The more viewers, the better. All right, good to have you back. On to our first story.
Boom.
Some breaking news tonight. Just minutes ago, President Obama held a press conference to shed light on some recent U.S. actions in Iraq. Take a look.
Today, I authorized 2 operations in Iraq: targeted airstrikes to protect our American personnel, and a humanitarian effort to help save thousands of Iraqi civilians who are trapped on a mountain without food and water and facing almost certain death.
The president was quick to point out that U.S. combat troops would not be returning to Iraq, while also pointing out that we would not abandon our allies. What do you guys make of this action by the president?
I think it's a good move, actually. I love the humanitarian aid, and we just had a guest on yesterday talking about the needs of the Yazidi people in the Kurdish region. And these targeted airstrikes are very vague right now. I'm not excited about re-entering Iraq. I don't think we should have done it in the first place. But I think we have a responsibility for how much we broke over there to help restore some order.
The president made a big deal about getting out of Iraq. Now it appears that we're going back, even if not on the ground. What do you think?
But I do agree with Baratunde. This is more from a humanitarian perspective. And Mutlu yesterday said the Kurdish people were in desperate need of the United States' help. I'm for it. I do think he will probably take a lot of heat from anti-war activists and people that already think that this president has done too many things with war. I personally think it's a great move as well.
All right.
We agree.
We agree, Baratunde.
It's a very nice way to start off the show, although with some very serious news. And I do want to just point out again, the U.S. military aircraft dropped food and water there to the Yazidi Kurds that are seeking refuge in the mountain from ISIS. We talked about this yesterday, and I'd recommend go on takepart.com and watch the clip with Mutlu Siviroglu from last night.
Yep. All right, when we talk about modern American politics, we're talking Democrats and Republicans, but it's always seductive to fantasize about a third party. Will it be the lefty Green Party or the far-right Constitution Party? Well, according to some libertarians are actually the new political superpower.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about this, and there's now a big article in the New York Times Magazine. They publish an extensive feature on libertarians. Yeah. It dives into the culture of the cool, some people call it the Diet Republican Party. I don't know if I would. They highlight prominent libertarian figures. They explain that the group's appealing to millennial voters who don't find either Democrats or Republicans particularly suitable, and I think that that's a lot of us. The issue here is that the party, while focused, seems to lack the footing on subjects like immigration and foreign policy. Instead, cultural issues like marijuana legalization, same-sex marriage seem to be defining them. Why do you think people try to make and keep trying to make pure libertarianism a thing?
I think we need something else in the country. The political process is broken, and when Congress is the most demotivational force we've seen in a long time, we're desperate for some other force. So that explains the attraction. I also think libertarianism as a philosophy works really well in books.
I know.
But when you actually try to take it off the bookshelf, it tends to fall apart.
It is the kind of thing that I think that people that don't want to be Republicans but want to sound really smart in political science classes, if they're like, I'm definitely a libertarian, and I actually have a lot of respect for libertarians. Yeah. I just don't know how applicable it is to the American political process. And everyone keeps coming up to me and saying, oh, Rand Paul is going to be 2016, he's going to be the president. But Rand is Ron Light, and Ron didn't work out so well 4 years ago, 8 years ago. So what exactly are we looking for?
Yeah, and obviously Rand Paul is trying to pick up where his father left off and not have some of the same liabilities. You guys are talking to us about this on Twitter right now. Here's what you had to say. This is a tweet from @Michael Knudsen, who says, you can't shine under someone else's umbrella. Libertarians can only shine if they separate from the GOP. But the reality of the situation is this is a two-party political system in the United States. Do they ever stand a chance on their own?
Well, Nick Gillespie,
yeah.
So sorry, I messed up his name again, but he's a very well-known libertarian, and he said, quote, if we have 20 different types of Pop-Tarts, maybe we can have more than 2 types of political identification. I completely agree with him, and actually there is a movement called the Free State Project in New Hampshire where people are actually moving to New Hampshire to try and start a libertarian society. They have 10,000 or 20,000 participants so far. I think it's fascinating. 20,000 people is enough to have us talking on this show, but I don't know if it's enough to actually get a candidate elected.
And I'm honestly glad it's starting. I think I was almost taken in by the libertarian family of the polls. I'm like, yeah, I'm against the war in Iraq, I'm against mass surveillance, but I'm actually for the civil rights movement. And you lost me at civil rights movement, Paul family.
They lose me with national defense things and things with the military, because obviously I am a big pro-military person, pro-intervention, and libertarians want...
To me, and I agree, mass surveillance, social issues like same-sex marriage, incarceration, war itself. But the problem is, until we get rid of, we talked about this the other night, the big two-party system where money rules, the #1 indicator of being re-elected into Congress is that you're already in Congress. And so until we fix that, I don't think you're going to see a Libertarian Party doing anything.
Bring Parliament to America. Now, you guys know how this works. This show is called Take Part Live because we want you to spring into action and talk to us.
That's right. We give you a lot of homework on this show, but we really appreciate the involvement. So today we want to give a quick shout out to some of our most active and awesome Twitter followers. Thank you to Doug Oceanic Ross, Elizabeth R121, and Goddess Stanny 74. We couldn't do this without you, and you guys are kicking ass on our Twitter. And for the rest of you, please, Republicans especially, make sure to talk to the producers in the bullpen and hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, takepart.com to join the conversation. You Republicans out there, you're not tweeting enough into the show. We think this is a liberal show.
I'd also like to thank other frequent Twitterers, at Senator John McCain, at Cindy McCain, at Steve Soberoff, at Patty Soberoff, at Miles Soberoff, at Molly Soberoff.
Our family is very supportive of Take Part Live.
And to kick things off, here's our daily debate. Answer our poll on takepart.com. Is monogamy on the way out? This is not a thinly veiled request to my wife, although let's talk later. It's a story we're talking about later on in the show. So tweet us at Take Part Live. Use the hashtag #MoreIsMore to let us know what you think.
We'll have the results later on in the show, but right now it's on to our next story.
When the Islamic State isn't making news for terrorist activities, they're grabbing headlines by appropriating trendy things from Western society in an attempt to appeal to our youth. Now, the latest publicity stunt, a hipster terrorist dude.
Yeah, This is such a ridiculous story. So meet America, meet Islam Yakin, known to many as the hipster jihad. Yakin is formerly a regular Egyptian dude turned ISIS extremist. He is known for his curly mop and thick black rim glasses and frequently tweets photos of himself brandishing giant swords and even gory images of decapitations. To make things even gnarlier, ISIS is also enlisting female members to blog about the joys of their lifestyle in the hopes of luring more Western women into ISIS. Obviously, this is really uncomfortable, but who exactly is doing ISIS's PR and social media accounts?
You know what? Honestly, though, I mean, we kind of kid about that, but it's a strategy that's being used now by us too in the United States. To be totally honest with you, this is horrible. It is terrible. But aren't we doing this too? It was uncovered by the Associated Press.
When we do it, is people don't get decapitated.
Yeah, that's true. No, but I'm just saying this is the reality of modern warfare. You know, the U.S. government went to Cuba. They set up a fake Twitter account there to have an uprising in Cuba to get people to rebel against the government there. The question to me is, should Twitter, for this kind of subversive stuff, whether it's ISIS or the U.S. setting up a fake Twitter, over there in Cuba, should we be taking this down? Should social media be taking this stuff down?
I don't know that it should be taken down so much as I see when we call it hipster terrorism, there's actually some sense of self-identification in that. Like we like to paint terrorists and people who we're at war with as this very distant other, and it's like it could never be us. A school shooting could never happen by someone we know. A mass murder could never be committed by someone we know. And so by calling them a hipster terrorist, that's like our own language. That's a big part of U.S. culture and sort of modern Western culture. So I like the non-otherization of someone like that.
What scares me, though, is the picture of the hipster terrorist that we couldn't get cleared for this show. Yeah. He literally looks in the before pictures like somebody from the Jersey Shore. He's totally yoked out and posing in the pictures. Something has happened in a very short period of time that ISIS has gotten a hold of him and, in my opinion, brainwashed him into doing things like this. And what's scary to me is that these people are effectively getting people to join their radical movement from Western culture.
Well, it's only a matter of time, I think, as well, before we ended up in the age of selfie and self-promotion with a sexy psychopath. Yeah. This is that version.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
And unfortunately, you'll see it too with school shootings, with people here, domestic terrorism. All right, another day, another story about the GOP trying to curry favor with the youth vote. Their latest gambit, harnessing the power of ride-sharing apps. Kyle, what is this about?
Yeah, so the Republican Party is aligning itself with the rideshare service Uber in hopes of appealing to young, well-off urbanites. Uber frequently faces government bureaucratic bullshit and taxi union regulations, which are coincidentally two things that the Republicans are against. The party has launched an online petition to support innovative companies like Uber, saying, "We must stand up for our free market principles, entrepreneurial spirit, and economic freedom." I mean, who doesn't love Uber? But will this really get the Republican Party the millennial vote?
Wait, can I say, I'll tell you who doesn't love Uber. The young people they're trying to win over because fucking surge pricing sucks. And what a dumb strategy. Like, maybe like support Lyft or something.
Well, first of all, there's Uber X, which is much cheaper, so don't be a hater on Uber. Second of all, I love Uber for a whole host of reasons because I don't like being sexually harassed by cab drivers. I lived in New York 11 years and a lot of stuff went down. And Uber drivers or cab drivers in the city are horrible. Uber is safe. This is consumerism in action. And I think right now, if there's taxi drivers are going to have a monopoly, obviously Uber is a great thing, and I think it really goes into a lot of Republican ideals.
The idea of surge pricing, by the way, for those who don't know, Uber has an automatic mechanism to drive up the pricing when demand goes up, so you can be gouged, essentially feeling like you're paying $30 per mile. They do let you know, they make you plug in a number. My take on this is it's a bad deal if it works. I like the idea that the Republican Party is hitching its wagon to something popular. They tried it with hip-hop. That didn't go over so well, so maybe Uber will give them a shot. The trick is, I think it's a bad deal. If it works, you're basically trading a convenient ride on your date night to give control to a party over your body for what happens later on that night. And I don't know if that's a
I just want to read you one quote because I'm not really getting your comparison right now. So Trey Grayson, the former Republican Secretary of State from Kentucky, said, quote, "It's a way for the party to reinforce the message that here's a private company serving a need, and the need is created because government regulation created poor services." And I like Uber. I mean, when I first started using Uber, I liked it because I was like, fuck cab drivers, fuck them for being so nasty to me all the time, not picking me up and not knowing where they're going. And Uber drivers, I rate them, they rate me, and it's an easier, more convenient service.
I'm not shitting on Uber, actually, and in fact, I just think this is a flawed strategy because LA is the second largest city in the country. Almost every politician in this city is Democratic, and they have a great relationship with Uber. So they're making the case that Democrats don't like this, but I mean, this is city by city, literally hyper-local issue that they're making into this national one. I don't think it's going to make sense.
And the connection they're trying to make is a sound one, but I think it's limited. It's the idea of individual freedom, of free markets, and what my comparison to your date night scenario is this is a party that is going to fight for your freedom to hail a cab, but not for your freedom to control your own body in your house.
I'm so sorry. I'm pro-life, and I hate the idea that what is most important to me as a woman is my reproduction. I mean, there are much more things much more important to me. Maybe that's a liberty I have because I am, I have a great job and I come from a privileged family, but when people say things like that, it totally negates why I'm a Republican. Just throwing that out there.
All right, we have a whole other conversation about all that.
Does that mean you're not a Republican anymore?
I am, oh my God.
Why you're a Republican?
Oh, we might have to have a whole other show. All right, up next, we got awkward Akon interviews, and later on in the show, we got America the Edible author and Food Fighters host Adam Richman in the studio. Do not go anywhere.
What did I say?